Hi y'all, today I am in lovely Temple City and I'm gonna take a little cruise on my Brompton, my fancy English folding bike, and tell you a little bit about how I started biking and the things I like about it. So let's go. As I pull away, I can tell you this little movement of riding away from a location, especially riding away from my house as a child, was one of the things that first inspired me about biking, because as a child it's so freeing to just be allowed to ride off and go do stuff and have fun, and you're kind of on your own, you know. It was a little bit unsafe, but you know, those were different days, but it was unsafe as far as like you really had the responsibility to not crash and hurt yourself, and helmets weren't really a big thing back then, so it was a bit of responsibility that we as children during that time really appreciated. So that was one of the first kind of super positive things I felt about bicycling, and what became something just endearing. As I look back, I'm just, yeah, that feeling of getting on your bike and just riding off, and who knows where you were going to go, who knows what friends you were going to run into, who knows, maybe you'd end up at 7-Eleven playing video games, maybe you would go to the local elementary school and play football with friends, or you know, all sorts of stuff. So that was the first kind of time I realized, oh, biking is something I really like. And as I got older, it became a real bonding experience with me and my friends. My friends and I would just cruise and aimlessly, or or maybe we had a plan, and we'd get in all sorts of stuff, you know, not always good, positive things, but that's growing up. And so as I grew up, my dad kind of fostered my biking experience, and you know, it kind of slipped away slowly because of owning a car. When I turned 16, I immediately got a car as soon as I could, and having a vehicle that you don't have to pedal and you can carry friends in and you can go far distance, it definitely influenced me. So I just spent less time biking. And I remember one of the last times of that period of biking was when my father took me to Ensenada, and we did an organized kind of bike ride race, and it was a lot of fun, and I have good memories of that. And throughout my life, my dad was really supportive of bicycling, and that's a really good memory. And he was like a very strong biker all his life up until very close to the end. And even at the end, he would sit there and pedal his little exercise bicycle, watching whatever was on TV. And yeah, so he influenced me a lot, but I did fall out of it for a long time. Kind of came back in my 30s or so, somewhere around there, when I was living in Santa Cruz, and mountain biking was a big thing, and it's beautiful up there. Mountain biking it's a real pleasure up there. There's so many beautiful trails, and the forests are so nice and all that. So I got into that for a while, and then of course having a family, having kids, and a full-time job, and that it kind of caused me to let go of that a lot. So that kind of fell by the wayside, and my girlfriend at the time, who I had children with, we broke up, and life went on, and I got another girlfriend, and just biking was just in the background. It still happened every once in a while, but it was in the background a lot. And then I experienced a major breakup. We were together for a long, long time, 13 years, and I was in a really bad state. I was very overweight. Now I'm only kind of overweight, but then I was very overweight, and I was just not in a good headspace. I was smoking too much weed and eating too much and not exercising and just feeling sorry for myself. And so when the breakup happened, I kind of thought, oh, well, I should exercise. Everybody says exercise is good when you're going through stuff. And it is. It's like, what's up?
Are you vlogging?
Yeah, what's up?
I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm just... All right, I needed to pause it for a second because some young brother wanted to chit chat. So, yeah, that is one of the cool things about riding your bicycle, is that you're close to the ground. You're seeing things you don't see in your car. You're seeing things because you're just out there. You're not enclosed in a vehicle, 3,000-pound square of metal and glass that prevents you from talking to people. And maybe you'll find some money on the ground. A few times I've found like $20 on the ground. It's pretty nice. But anyway, like I was saying, I was in a bad state of mind and body, and I figured I needed to exercise to get out of it. And so I started running or jogging because that's what people say. Yeah, go jogging, it's good, And it was really hard for me at that time because I was overweight, very overweight. Like I said, now I'm a little overweight, but then I was very overweight. And it was hard on my joints, and it was just, I was far away from making it part of my life. I tried, and then I gave up at one point and just fell back into my depression. And then I remembered that someone had given me a beach cruiser that was stuck in some corner of my house, and I should maybe just pump up the tires and take it for a ride. And I lived near the beach, near Santa Cruz Wharf, and it's really nice to just ride around there. So I would do that. I would ride around and just kind of check out the beach and sort through the issues in my head, and just kind of get out of my head and into my body. And that's my favorite thing about biking and running. Nowadays I run a little bit, is that it pulls you from your brain into your body. Especially when you're doing a hard ride or a really long ride, you are going to be, in general, I am usually thinking about stuff as I'm riding. But I liken it to untying knots in my brain as I'm riding, because I have things I'm just kind of ignoring and not really concentrating on, and then I'll go on a long ride or a long run, and these things just kind of they come up, and I untie them slowly and kind of work them out. And that's one of the things I really like about biking. But when I was riding my bike and getting that kind of exercise and getting out of my head, I did find it very therapeutic. And I was riding a beach cruiser, and so it's single speed, and it's, you know, got the brake that you push back on, and it was a very basic bike. And I enjoyed the therapy so much that I just kept riding, and I would extend my rides from like 3 miles to 5 miles to 10 miles. And pretty soon I was doing 20 and 25 miles of riding. And it was good, but I'm riding this giant clunker bike with fat balloon tires, and it just seemed kind of silly at one point when I thought about, hey, I could graduate to a better kind of bicycle for the distances that I'm doing. And so I did that. I graduated to a single speed. You know, it was a Nishiki bike. It was a 10 speed that somebody converted to a single speed. And I started riding that around the time I moved up to the Bay Area from Santa Cruz. And I started riding that, and it was really fun. And I figured out that you could ride your bike and then combine it with the BART train, which is like the subway kind of system they have up there. And you could end up all sorts of places. And I was also, you know, kind of a loner at that time. So it was comfortable to like do things on my own when I had my bike and I had the train. And, you know, I found it comforting to not feel so lonely. Also, when I was up there, I realized there was an event called the Bike Party that they have up there. And once every month on a Friday, they would have a gathering of people that would ride through either Oakland or San Francisco. And we would stop at a park, and like people would set up a sound system, and we'd dance, and people would drink and smoke, and, you know, just kind of party and hang out and talk and show off their bikes. And everybody had like lights on their bikes, and it was really fun. And people have like sound systems on their bikes, and it really inspired a kind of goofy, fun feeling that I got when I was a kid riding with my friends, you know. Except now it was like with, you know, sometimes like 1,000 friends. And, you know, you take over the whole street and everybody come out and wave, and it was just really fun and festive. And like I said, I was feeling pretty lonely during that time, and so that got me out of that. And so I had a great time. It was really fun. And then being at those bike parties and riding my Nishiki single speed bike, I would see people riding fixed gears, and I would think, wow, that's kind of cool. I mean, no brakes, and, you know, it's whatever. Of course, it was hip, you know. I thought it was cool, you know, and I wanted to be cool. You know, I'm not above falling in with the cool kids. So I eventually I just went and I bought a fixed gear, and, you know, to be cool, because it was interesting. So I rode my fixed gear for a while. It was kind of like a junker. It was really heavy, but there's not too much to a fixed gear. It's very basic, and so even a junker fixed gear, it's fun, which is what I found out. It's like, okay, yeah, it's cool, it's different, but it's fun. It just became something that was just a lot of fun. It was just a lot of fun. I had a great time, and I would go on big long rides on my fixed gear, and you know, I learned how to navigate using your legs as gears and using your legs as brakes, and carrying your bike up and down stairs, and all the stuff you learn. And it was a good time. I had a great time, and I even went on some bike tours with my fixed gear. Actually, I bought a nicer fixed gear at some point, an all city big block, and I began riding that, and it was lighter, and it had a really nice paint job, and has a very classic look. I still have it, and I still ride it occasionally, but that bike it's beautiful. I love it, and the paint job's a little wearing off a little bit, and needs a little work, but still has a place in my heart. But I did go on a couple of big long tours, and at that point I realized I learned about touring and throwing packs on your bike and going camping, and just not necessarily camping everywhere. Sometimes stay at a hotel. It depended on the situation. But I started learning about that, and was still kind of holding on to, the single speed fixed gear kind of niche as I branched out. And then I eventually realized that, I'm being silly. I could probably do more if I start working with some gears. So I started experimenting with some geared bikes, and eventually I bought a gravel bike. This was during the lockdown times, and like me, we were kind of like everybody. I was kind of going stir crazy, and so I decided that I should try out this gravel thing, and so I bought kind of a lower priced gravel bike. I did a little research and found this bike on online, and rode a little bit of gravel, and it was fun. But I was more inspired to use it to tour and go camping. And so eventually I started buying packs for my bike, and a friend of mine had loaned me a tent, that lightweight tent, and so I bought packs and a lightweight tent and a little camping stove, and a lightweight sleeping bag, and just camping stuff, kind of backpacking things, and started taking trips on my bike. And as I went farther and farther and did longer trips, multi-day things, I realized the bike I had bought, the frame is pretty good, but the wheels were not so hot, and I needed to do some modifications. The pedals weren't so good, and so I started upgrading. Sometimes it was necessary during a trip. I remember when I was riding through Joshua Tree coming up from San Diego, my back rim had a major problem, and I had to replace it because it wasn't suitable for the kind of load I had put on it. And so I upgraded it slowly, and it's no showpiece now, but it is solid. It's got solid rims, and I got some really fat bar tape on it, cushy, that I even added some pool noodle onto it and taped it on, because long rides on my old bones, my old wrists, it's kind of painful, but I can deal with it. So that's where I'm at now. Besides that, I started going on trips overseas, and I realized I wanted to bring a bicycle with me. So I bought a Brompton folding bike, and so yeah, it's very nice. You know, one of these videos I'm going to do introductions to my bikes. So as of right now, I have my fixed gear, which is an all-city big block, and I have my touring bike slash gravel bike, which is a Poseidon. I think it's a Poseidon X. And like I said, it was just kind of an online brand. But the frame's held up nicely, and I've done thousands of miles on it. And I have my trusty Brompton here, my folding bike, which has been kind of my daily rider lately, because it has a cool bag in front where I can just carry my stuff. Because I really don't like having a backpack on. So that's been nice. And finally, I have my dad's Specialized. It's a racing bike, and I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's a Specialized ALLEZ. It's Aliz. Anyhow, it's not really mine. It's my niece's, but it was sitting in their garage, and so I kind of borrowed it for a while, and it's been with me. Needs a little bit of work, but it has kind of a special place in my heart, of course, and I'll be giving it back at some point. So that means I have 4 bikes, and I kind of do a rotation, and it's nice. So that's my story. That's how I came to where I'm at, and I don't know where I'll go from here. I don't really have much aspirations. I don't have many aspirations to get more bikes. I actually need to pare it down and have less. But it's so hard to let go of any of them. But I will at some point. I should probably give up the fixed gear soon. But it's so nice. I mean, I could always switch it to a freewheel, so it's a little easier on my knees. But it is nice to ride fixed gear. So anyway, if any of you are close friends or friends with me and have an interest in getting a bike, I'd love to help you get a bike, and maybe I'll go on a ride or two with you and get you started. But I think biking is good for almost everybody if you're able to. It's really fun. It's really easy. You don't have to do big, long trips. You can just cruise. So that's about it. Hope you enjoyed this. And I'll see you soon. Be well and happy.